Are High Elf Rangers any good in patch 6.1.3? Does anyone, anyone at all, use these? So I thought I'd make a video about them so we can go over what advantages they have for the fact you are giving up the usual advantages for them. There's plenty of time to cover the bread and butter. Let's slap on a little strawberry jam too. Recruit for 600 gold and 150 upkeep. This unit has 120 entities in a 120 entity melee infantry unit world, with 7,560 health between them. Armor is 30, but this unit has physical resistance 20%. It gets dodgy, so each and every one is a junior grade blink tank. Leadership 70 is pretty good, speed 40 and charge speed 44, while the regular speed is very nice indeed. Melee attack begins at 30, but attack interval 4.5 is a little high, as in a little slow. No splash damage. Melee defense begins at 24, but there's a reason for that. Weapon strength 31 is split base 23 and armor piercing 8, so strongly tilted toward base damage, but with a very decent bite. There is a bonus versus infantry of 8, so melee attack 38 base against infantry specifically. That's the dual sword effect. Charge bonus of 20 is far better than Spearmen or Sea Guard, and mass is 100. This unit has Hide and Forest, Woodsman so it phases through trees but also has no other Strider style effects. Has Vanguard deployment so it can get to such trees more easily, and while hit points are above 25%, Martial Prowess grants it plus 2 melee attack and plus 12 melee defense in the middle of battle. So, melee attack 32, 40 against infantry, melee defense 36. Once adjusted for the passive, the stats aren't as bad as they seem at all. In the Redline skills, Militia Master, your go-to for Spearmen and Sea Guard, grants at 3 pips melee attack plus 6 and melee defense plus 6, so that would be MA 38, 46 versus infantry, and MD 42 at rank 0. Obviously, veterans get better. At rank 7, Immovable Force grants melee defense plus 5, weapon strength plus 10%, and spell resistance 15%. A little spell resistance never hurt anyone. In the tech tree, Militia Training adds plus 2 recruit rank, Trumpeters adds plus 5% speed, Martial Law reduces the upkeep 5% and recruitment cost 10%. Light Ithilmar Armor grants armor plus 10, just having access to these techs requires ones that reduce recruitment costs anyway, so tech-wise it's a lot simpler than Sea Guard. So how do we use High Elf Rangers? Now, it seems simple, but it's not. There's obviously going to be a ton of prejudice against using a unit that's there to fight infantry when Spearmen fight infantry too, just more slowly. The lack of shields can seem crippling, and obviously an enemy with magical attack will be particularly deadly, and physical resistance diminishes damage, it doesn't erase damage. All these issues are manageable. The reason to use Rangers is a more radical version of why there's a place for Empire Swordsmen if you want them. The issue there is, half quoting Legend of Total War, that the building required to recruit them is a player trap. It's not a problem with the unit itself. Tactically, given the spray tendencies of High Elf Archer units, a pair of swords and a stout heart are a surer way to do more damage in the here and now, and the physical resistance will still work wonders against a lot of the things in the game. Against things that it won't help against, some, like Demonettes, may have some resistance themselves, but those have paper-thin armor, much worse than the Rangers. In other words, in the context of a larger army, you're probably trading fine. The only way to trade better is with an egregiously high melee defense unit with shields to the point the armor piercing isn't relevant anymore, like Infernal Ironsworn, at a much higher cost. So the idea is to take Rangers and rush them to places in need of elite swordplay, or to make them honorary cavalry and rush to the enemy backline, which absolutely can work. It just won't work as fast as you'd like. On the other hand, as I said from the start, this is a full 120 entity unit, so it's going to try and really hang in there as it does that buzzsaw style damage. It's going to trade well against more than just Skaven slaves and clan rats. It's just going to be a particularly pronounced effect against mass chaff like that. And also, dogs and bats that want to chew up your backline archers, so they are good at intercepting foes. The fact is, you don't always have mass magic. You don't always want to use it on that job. So having a curveball to slice and dice infantry isn't a waste. You just have to be prepared in a faction with lots of strong, shielded units to play hide the pea under the shell a bit against Dark Elves and other strong ranged factions. Otherwise, they're like clingy boyfriends, difficult to get rid of once they get close to you. You either need to keep them at a distance or use overwhelming force. The gist is, a lot of people will say it's an instant no because it's a micro tax on a non-cavalry, non-chariot, but if you can slip a few into the right places like stiletto daggers, the wounds they inflict can indeed be fatal to the enemy. Take care, and have fun showing that the bow is not the only path for martial prowess.